All right, so what I'd like to show you folks now are just a few other little things that I've learned over the year performing this. And one of the most important ones is audience management, particularly when you're putting the coins from the glass into their hands. That pour out can may be a little nerve-wracking for some people, I imagine, but I have a couple little tips to show you that I figured out along the way. So Thomas is going to help us out with his hand. Palm up, flat on the table, perfect. I'm going to place the glass there. And I'll usually have them just hold their hand flat like a table like that. You can, but if you want to close it, if they close it, it's not a big deal. So I'll ask them, I'll show them the 4 coins. I'll say, how many coins do you see?
4.
He says 4, nice and loud for everyone to hear. He can see the 4. The 4 coins go into the glass, right? Now I'll usually be palming the other one here, but for the sake of illustration, all we're going to talk about right now is monitoring his hand. So we're going to get to the moment of, we've done the magic, the coin's appeared. This person is looking at the coin. This person's looking at the coin over here, and I say, now all I need you to do is to hold your hand flat like this. I'm going to pour the coins out into your hand. You just tell everybody exactly how many coins you see.
3.
He says 3, right? Now look at this moment. This is the position that I wanted to show. This is a control issue. A lot of the times when you put coins, especially a gaff, into a spectator's hand, right, you have to be worried about monitoring it. If I don't touch his thumb, your thumb could go ahead and try to touch the coins. So you might be able to get in there. But notice that I have a pretty firm grip on the fingers. I'm not too worried about the pinky because I've never had anyone go, because as long as I control a third finger, the pinky won't be able to move. And for the sake of the audience, this looks like a very dramatic, theatrical focus, right? It's like here. But for me, it's all about controlling him. So I control his thumb, I control the fingers, he can see 3 coins, it looks very clean. Now my only concern at this point is his other hand. That's the only thing I have to worry about. So go ahead, Thomas, try to grab, would you hold onto the glass for just a second? Thank you very much. Now look at that. Now I've just diffused the situation. He's holding the glass, and he knows from the very start that that's his job, is to maintain that glass. And now I have control over both hands. And I've never had to use that, but that's what I came up with. Because I've seen people start to move, and I've thought, what am I going to do? Oh, of course, I can just hand them the glass. But it never got to that point yet, because people are usually so fixated on this happening in their hands that they don't have to worry about it. So anyway, this is just a nice little bit. Thank you very much. You can put your hand down. This is just a nice little bit about how to manage the spectator and how to make sure you have complete control over the display of the 3 coins in their hands, which is a big deal, and is, of course, one of the many climaxes that occurs, the vanish, and then, of course, the productions. So we brought our victims, I need volunteers, back. So I could talk about a few other ideas that I've developed about Victorian coins and glass that I find to be very useful, again, in terms of this audience control. As you know, or if you don't know about me, I'm a lefty with my coin magic. Maybe you notice, maybe you don't. There's no particular direction you have to do this routine in. It's up to you in terms of what you're more comfortable in doing the one move that you really need to do. Let me walk you through the reasoning. I have a guy over here, and I have a girl over here. Or a man and a woman. That's usually just how it always works out. And there are a couple reasons why. The first reason why is if I'm going to have you hold out your hand again, I'm going to be pouring into her hand, usually women are going to be a little more docile. Not because they're docile creatures, but because they're polite. And men are just rude. And so I know that I can usually count on having someone that I can control a little bit easier. I don't have to try to fight them. Usually it can happen if you have a male in this position, they could get a little, they're more likely to try to pull away or fight you in terms of strength. But she's just going to help me out. Also, both of these people are going to try to help you out as much as they can because they're nervous. But I usually put the female here also because she's going to get the last coin, and I want her to have the big reaction at the end. So that's the reason why she's here. You can put your hand down. Thank you very much. Good work. Your hand modeling skills are just they're going right through the roof as long as this works. So with my buddy Nate here, the reason why he's here is so that I can do the final vanish with him. This is a weird moment because you're turning him into a stooge, right? But there are a couple of little things that I want to touch on. So go ahead and hold out your hand for me, Nate. What's going to happen is I'm going to do a simple vanish, right? So I don't have anything here. I'm just holding out. But I do something very particular here. Note the blocking, and this is the reason why I have him on this side, because I'm going to palm with my left hand. I'm going to put my hand here on his wrist. I'm going to put the nothing into his hand, and I can cross and close over. I mean, look at my angles. You can't see the coin I'm concealing, right? You're fine. You can't see it, right?
Right.
Right, you can't see it.
No, no, yes,
no, I can't.
yes, you cannot see the, right? And so I'm also protecting, and you can't see it either.
No.
And I'm protecting my angles over here. Now, and you're doing a good job of holding on, but I can sneak out. The other thing is that, you can go ahead and close up your hand, but so you do the vanish.
I didn't know.
They do it. No, that's fine. That's fine. So one of the reasons I use a guy here is that usually I can convince. I mean, think about it. What percentage of magicians are males, right? If you're at a magic show and you have guys from the audience, they could either do one or two things. They could either be on your side, or they could be against you. What I just told him, you heard what I said, was that he's going to get to do the magic. If I have a large group of people, what I'll say, Nate, you're going to be walking out of here, and everyone's going to say, Nate, how'd you do that? Because you're about to fool them. And you know what? I give you you can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want to those people. Now, whatever he says to them, I mean, if he tells them that he never put anything in my hand, they'll just think he's lying. I also always try to grab a guy with long sleeves, because then I can always pat them down. So, because if he does the vanish, I can always go like, where'd the coin go, right? And it gets a nice little laugh. The other thing is that I'm turning him into the magician. And this moment, when you go ahead and hold your hand out there, this moment, and I find that this lines are so important when I say, if I'm working with a couple or if I'm working for an audience, I do two different lines. With a couple, what I'll say is I'll say, look into her eye. Because what you'll get to see is the moment of magic that I get to experience every single time I perform. And then he does the vanish, and if he's looking at her, she'll have the response, and then he gets to feel this moment. Is he going to tell her how he did it? He's not going to tell her. He's going to lord this over her forever. Yeah. It's a powerful moment. So now all of a sudden you're at a table for two. You've just turned him into a magician, and she gets to have the moment of magic when it appears in her hand. Now for a large group of people, I say the same line pretty much, and I'll say, but don't look at me. Don't look at her. I'll tell them to look at the audience. Because what you'll get to see then is the moment of magic that I get to experience every single time I perform. And what this guy then does is he opens up his hand, he hears and he's looking at the audience, and he gets to see people freak out. And what this guy then, is he going to go and tell on you? Is he going to go walking around the lobby after the show and like, oh, he never put in mind? No, he's going to be loving this attention he's going to get. Because people are going to go up afterwards and they're going to remember him. So there's very specific reasons why I've chosen these people, well, not these particular people, but these particular genders, that I found that this combination is the best combination. Also notice that instead of doing it, it's a typical coins across. The first coin, when it vanishes from here, appears here. Second coin appears here, near the clink. Then the next coin appears in his hand, but then the next coin doesn't appear in his hand, it appears in her hand. So if you can get out of your head that a coins across can only go in one direction, and think about this as their hands as a focal point for where the magic is experienced, that's what makes this trick work. That's what makes it work for a small group of people. That's what makes it work for a large group of people. So those are just a couple of little extra thoughts to keep in mind when performing Victorian coins and glass. Thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it.